Listo, ya está grabando.
Ok, la presentación.
Y, uy, ahora sí.
Well, good night. Today we are going to talk about reforming logistics services for an effective trade facilitation. My name is Brenda, and today we are with my group that will be Amanda Castillo, Jesus Oviedo, Saima Quesada, Marcela Garcia, and Alejandro Mesa. Well, efficient logistics is essential for connecting business to the international markets. Custom law is like a set of rules that will tell us how we import and export goods, also how we collect taxes, and how the security and safety of our country is enforced. Customs are supposed to create a balance between the national interest and a free flow of trade. But unfortunately, custom law have become like one of the biggest barriers to efficient logistics. This is an important matter for all the countries, but especially for the developing countries, when custom procedures are one of the main obstacles. In this case, that depend of the trade to integrate into global markets. Also, for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, custom inefficiencies can make a difference between, being able to export or being excluded on the international value chain. Next one. Custom as a barrier. Well, as I said, one of the biggest challenges for logistics services is the burden of custom procedures. First, traders often face long delays. Well, customs procedures in many developing countries are still complex, old, and uncoordinated. This means that the traders usually require to prepare dozens of forms, obtain multiple signatures, and fill a lot. Fill a lot of forms. Sorry about the ambulance. Okay. Also, they have to interact with different agencies just for one single shipment. This means that sometimes it's small exporters or even big ones it spend days or sometimes weeks filling out forms and paying unexpected fees. The lack of harmonization is one of the bigger, problems because the rules have not consistency across all ports. Even sometimes the rules can vary from one port to another. This means that a business can think that they have all the requirements, but they came with the surprise that they need, one signature or the rule has changed in another customs office. This can add, delays and costs to the shipment. Also, the custom operating hours can be different sometimes, or in holidays or weekends, they are limited. So this means a lot of delays that increase the cost in storage. And also sometimes can mean that they have lost a deadline in the schedule. Another problem is that the competitiveness in this area is not really it's not really too well because sometimes foreign providers are excluded. And yeah, maybe this country have the rules that you can like hire a foreign expert or an international or a multinational enterprise cannot add in these kind of procedures. Next one, my partner Saima will tell you something about custom restrictions.
Okay, so custom restrictions are rules set by a country's government about what goods you can or cannot bring across its borders. They are enforced by officials at airports, seaports, and land borders. Their main job is to inspect goods to ensure that nothing can affect the local commerce that enters the country. But we have different type of customs, right? So the first one includes complex documentation requirements. This refers to the obligation for traders to fill out an excessive number of forms, certificates, documents to clear goods through customs. Because we also use customs, so local commerce is not affected by countries that can produce the same amount of goods in a cheaper manner. So when they export them, this could damage local commerce, so that's also why customs are implemented. So this one makes it harder for countries to bring in products by making a complex documentation process. We also have language barriers, so this means that even though you want to export a product to France, maybe, and the main language that we all talk around the world is English, you still would need to translate all of those documents to French, which would include a very expensive cost of translating all of this. And this can happen in any country, and this is a custom that is very buggy when people want to export stuff, because translating all of the documents is a little bit hard. Also, the lengthy and unpredictable inspection process. Customs authorities, they obviously have the right to inspect the goods and verify the declarations of it, but sometimes due to low processing and understaffing, they take a lot of time checking this, so this stops the process a long time, which is not very good, and sometimes inspections don't seem to be that random. They seem a little bit arbitrary with no clear risk-based criteria. We also have discriminatory fees, which is applying higher fees or more frequent inspections or stricter standards to foreign goods compared to domestic ones. Limited customs operating hours, so this means a limited amount of hours that the office is going to be open, which makes it hard for countries in a different time frame, right? And lack of electronic data interchange. So this means that everything is on paper, which makes the documents harder to present. They cannot be sent by email or over text messages. They have to be shown in person because they are paper documents. And my partner is going to continue to explain which impact does this have on trade.
Well, 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 the consequences in inefficient customs procedures are significant. Well, probably the most important, maybe, is the increase in transaction costs. Okay, every additional four or delayed cannot, they can, can add cost to the shipment or to the trading. So these costs are usually passed on to the customers. That means that we are going to have like higher prices, or in some cases, they reduce the profit of the business because, well, they take the impact. In competitive international markets, this can mean a lot because sometimes, well, small businesses cannot take the impact of these costs, or an increase on the price can push them out of the business of the market. Also, with today's just-in-time systems, all the components needs to be just in time, exactly when they are needed in the production. That means that the delays, well, can reduce the reliability. If custom clearance takes too long, it means that the exporters will not meet the delivery commitments. That can damage the reputation and will make them less attractive as suppliers. Also, uh, the cost inefficiencies affect small and medium-sized enterprises. Well, why? Because there are no like a big companies that they have limited financial and human resources to complete these productions. So sometimes this like custom variance can make a difference between, well, exporting or making the decision that they will not. This can reduce the competitiveness and the variety of a market. Also, well, we have that in this area, usually so many countries discourage foreign investment in logistics. Well, why? Because so many countries, as I said, it's difficult for foreign enterprises or maybe for foreign investment to came in this area. Also, it's like exclusive for local businesses, and this can like affect the competitiveness. And sometimes, well, it make it like how can I say it? It may like left, yeah, like let's compare it, and this means that we all have to be comfort with what we have. Next, my partner Sama will tell you some recommendations.
Yes, thank you. So some recommendations that we would have is mainly to have a whole supply chain system. So instead of having customs, health centers, and transport agencies all work separately, we want to join them, and they should coordinate their regulations and procedures. So instead of going to all of these different agencies to request permissions, you can do it in one same place in the same time, which would make the process a lot easier. Also, we have here extending operating hours. Since trade is made all around the world in all of the different time frames that we have, we would like to recommend 24/7 operations and introduce risk-based inspection techniques, which is moving away from physically inspecting every shipment. Instead, custom uses data analysis and automated systems to profile and target only high-risk customers. So for unknown shipments, high-value goods, or sensitive products, those should be checked in a more meticulous way, but low-risk shipments can be cleared immediately or with only minimal checks.
Well, regional and global dimension. Well, as we know, trade really steps open water. This is, especially important for landlocked countries. Uh, for landlocked countries, delayed in a neighbor customs, can affect like directly their competitiveness in international market. Why? Because they depend in these ones for their goods to be export and import. Well, this is an example of why harmonization across all borders are really important. Next one. Next one. Okay, so for this we have like agreements like the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement. This agreement tries to encourage countries to simplify and modernize their custom systems. Okay, some developed countries have like a one window system that is really useful, but in developing countries we don't have that. So the trade facilitation agreement it's trying to facilitate the trade with this means. Also, the trade deals are really important because, trade deals nowadays are trying to show a shift towards treating logistics and customs as part of an integrated supply chain. Trade deals are really important. We can see that like in countries, in landlocked countries in Africa and in Asia, when these trades are had really good results, and there are really harmonization of these custom procedures and are making that these landlocked countries have a really good impact or participation in the international markets. Also, custom reform is creating a transparent, predictable, and efficient system that benefits all traders. especially a small business. This means that if we have like a more like, how can I say, fair customs procedures, small businesses have it easier. It means that they can, well, join uh, the international, well, the global value chains in a trustworthy way. This can, well, improve the competitiveness in all the markets and maybe improve the prices for for the customers and the cost for the businesses. That's it. My partner Sama will tell you more. But well, the conclusions.
Now we have the conclusions. So the reading says that complicated rules are making trade slow and expensive, and specifically for small businesses. The main problem is that different government departments don't work together well, and this creates a mess in paperwork. We have a lot of delays, extra costs for companies to import and export goods, and the solution is to make things simpler and more connected, right? So work together, all of the departments have to work together and have similar requirements so that you can present them in one same sheet of paper. And we also have to be clear and modern, so we have to publish all of the rules online so any small business would know what are the rules in this country. And we have to start digitalizing all of the papers that we have right now. It would be easier to send things via email or create a Word document with all of the documentation required. And we also want to make trade fair for everyone. So no discrimination for any countries. Thank you so much for paying attention to us, and this was our presentation.